You already know the feeling. It is July. You open the door from your kitchen into the garage, and the heat hits you like you opened an oven. 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Sometimes 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Hotter than the air outside. You grab what you need, walk back in, and close the door behind you. You have been doing this every summer for as long as you have owned the house. A standard two-car garage door is 112 square feet of single-layer steel with an R value of 0, the measure of how well something resists heat flow, and your door scores nothing. No insulation, no air gap, just a thin skin of metal between your living space and whatever the weather is doing outside. It is the largest uninsulated surface in your house. And if your garage is attached to your house, and most American garages are, that heat is not just sitting in the garage. It is pushing through the shared wall into your kitchen, rising through the ceiling into the bedroom above, the room over the garage that is always too hot in summer and too cold in winter. That is not bad ductwork. That is not poor insulation in the attic. That is your garage door. In winter, the process reverses. That same steel bleeds heat out of the garage all night. The garage drops to within a few degrees of the outside temperature. The kitchen floor that shares a wall with the garage is always cold. The car battery strains every January morning. Pipes near the garage wall are the first ones that freeze. The industry's answer is a new insulated door. $1,500 to $2,500 for a single. A foam panel from the insulation aisle at Home Depot, cut to fit and pressed into the back of your existing door, costs about $30. It takes less than an hour. It captures the thermal benefit that a $2,500 door provides. Same physics, same insulating principle, fraction of the price. Let me put some numbers on this. A study from the Door and Access Systems Manufacturers Association, DASMA, the industry's own trade group, found that insulated garage doors reduce energy loss through the garage by up to 70%. The U.S. Department of Energy measured that garages with insulated doors stay 10 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit warmer in winter and up to 25 degrees Fahrenheit cooler in summer compared to uninsulated ones. A homeowner in California's Central Valley documented his results on Fine Home Building. He had uninsulated metal garage doors. Summer garage temperatures hit 120 degrees Fahrenheit on days when it was 104 degrees Fahrenheit outside. He added 2-inch foam board insulation to the inside of the doors. Garage temperature dropped to 92 degrees Fahrenheit, a 28-degree reduction, $30 in materials, and an afternoon. That 70% number from DASMA is the industry's own research, published by the people who sell garage doors for a living. They measured it. They just would rather sell you the door. Now here is what is actually happening inside that door, and once you see it, the fix becomes obvious. Steel conducts heat almost perfectly. That is what steel does. It is one of the worst possible materials for keeping heat on one side and not the other. When the sun hits your garage door at noon in July, the steel absorbs that energy and transfers it straight through to the inside surface. Put your palm flat against the inside of your garage door at 2 in the afternoon on a hot day and then pull it back. That surface is running 140 to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. Every square inch of it is radiating heat into your garage like a wall-sized space heater you never turned on. Now press a 1-inch foam panel against that same steel. The foam is full of tiny trapped air pockets. Still, air barely moves heat at all. That is the same principle that makes a down jacket work, a double pane window work, a styrofoam coffee cup work. The foam breaks the thermal bridge between the hot steel and the air inside your garage. Same sun, same door. The surface behind the foam drops 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. But the panels are only half the problem. Look at the edges of your garage door on a sunny day. The sides, the top, the bottom. You can see daylight through the gaps. Some of them are a 1/4 inch wide. Every one of those gaps is a highway for hot air to pour through in summer and cold air to flood in during winter. Moving air carrying heat in or out bypasses whatever insulation you put on the panels entirely. Think of it this way. Insulating the panels without sealing the edges is like putting on a winter coat and leaving the zipper open. The coat is doing work, but the cold air coming straight through the front is doing more. The full fix is panels and seals together. Foam on the panels to block the heat coming through the steel. Weather stripping around the perimeter to block the air coming around it. That is the version that actually delivers the DASMA 70% number. Not one or the other, both. And this is also where the garage connects to the rest of your house. If you have a room above the garage or a living space sharing a wall with it, the door is the biggest piece of the puzzle. But check whether the ceiling between the garage and the room above is insulated. Check the shared wall. In homes built before 2000, those are often bare, or the insulation has settled and left gaps. Sealing and insulating the door changes the garage temperature. Sealing the boundary between the garage and the house changes your energy bill. On a typical $2,400 annual heating and cooling bill, properly insulating the garage envelope can put $300 to $600 back in your pocket every year. Depending on what you spend, the project pays for itself before the first season is over. Now, the cost comparison that stopped me. Going from R0 to R4, the range a cheap foam panel puts you in cuts heat flow through the door by about 75%. Push it to R8 and you have eliminated roughly 90% of the heat that was passing through the uninsulated steel. But going from R8 to R18, the jump that separates the foam panel from the $2,500 door only gets you from 90% to 95%. 5 more percentage points. That last stretch costs 20 times more and delivers a fraction of the improvement. The cheap foam panel captures the steep part of the curve. The expensive door buys you the flat part. Here's what the full project looks like. You buy rigid foam board from the insulation aisle. The white panels, usually about 1 inch thick. For a single car door, about $30 to $35 in materials. For a 2-car door, $50 to $70. Or you buy a pre-made kit. The Insul foam from Lowe's runs around $60 per single car door. The Owens Corning R8 fiberglass kit at Home Depot is around $90. It is thicker, has a higher R value, and it snaps directly into the horizontal channels on a standard metal door with no adhesive at all. If you are cutting rigid board yourself, you measure each panel section, score the foam with a utility knife, snap it along the line, and press it into place with construction adhesive or heavy-duty double-sided tape. The panels sit between the horizontal rails on the inside of the door. Each one takes about 3 minutes. A single car door has 8 panels. You are done in under an hour. Then the seals. You pull the old cracked rubber off the bottom of the door, it slides out of its retainer channel, and you push the new one in. 15 minutes. Side and top weather stripping gets nailed or adhesive backed along the door frame. Another 15 minutes. Total project, start to finish, maybe 90 minutes. Okay, a few things worth knowing before you start, because there are mistakes that turn a good project into a problem, and most of them are easy to avoid. First, the weight. Foam panels add 15 to 25 pounds to your door depending on the material and thickness. Your garage door runs on a spring-balanced system calibrated for the original weight. Add enough weight and the balance shifts. If your door feels noticeably heavier to lift by hand, after you insulate it, the springs need adjusting. That is a $100 to $200 service call. Not dangerous to skip in the short term, but running an unbalanced door wears out your opener faster and can shorten its life by years. Rigid foam is the lightest option, about 14 pounds for a full door. The fiberglass kits run closer to 24 pounds. Know what you are adding before you add it. Second, the adhesive. Construction adhesive works. Heavy-sided, double-sided foam tape works. What does not work is the cheap tape that comes with some off-brand kits. It fails in heat. The same summer temperatures you are trying to fix will soften the adhesive and your panels drop off the door by August. If you are using tape, Use the high temperature kind, a few dollars more. Worth it. Or use a kit with a snap-in retainer system and skip adhesive entirely. Third, do not insulate the panels and skip the seals. A foam insulated door with half-inch gaps along the bottom and sides will underperform a sealed but uninsulated door on some days. The air movement through those gaps can overwhelm what the foam is doing. Panels and seals together. That is the project. And one more thing. That California homeowner who dropped his garage by 28 degrees Fahrenheit with foam board, his homeowners association sent him a notice to take it down. Not the foam on the door panels, the insulation he had put behind the garage door windows. The homeowners association said the windows had to remain transparent so they could verify the garage was clutter-free. He spent $30 solving a $300 a year problem and got a letter telling him to undo it so the neighborhood would look uniform. The foam on the panels, the part that did most of the work, was on the inside and invisible from the street. That stayed. But that is worth knowing if you have a homeowners association. The panels are invisible. Window coverings sometimes are not. And if you are renting or planning to move, the panels pop out as easily as they go in. Nothing permanent, nothing to undo. You can take them with you. Now, here is what this actually feels like when it is done. A Saturday in July. You finish the install that morning. Panels pressed into the channels, bottom seal snapped in, weather stripping tacked along the sides. You go inside, have lunch, then come back out to the garage around 2 in the afternoon, the hottest part of the day. You open the door from the house and brace yourself for the blast. That wall of trapped heat that hits you every summer like opening an oven. It is not there. Not there. The air is warm, but it is not hostile. You walk to the garage door and put your hand flat on the foam. Barely warm. The steel on the other side of that panel is baking at 150 degrees Fahrenheit in direct sun. Your palm feels 95 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat hit the foam and just stopped. The garage is sitting at 90 degrees Fahrenheit instead of 125 degrees Fahrenheit. You notice something else. The concrete floor, which usually stores heat well into the evening, is cooler underfoot. The whole space feels different. Quieter, too. The foam deadens the sound of traffic and wind against the steel. That room above the garage, the one that has run your AC harder than every other room in the house for as long as you have lived there. Give it a week. Here is what it costs to get here. The full picture. Foam panels, single car door, $30 to $35 for a cut-to-fit board, $60 to $90 for a pre-made kit. Bottom seal replacement, $15 to $25. Side and top weather stripping, $20 to $30. Optional threshold seal, $30 to $50. Total for the full treatment on a 2-car garage, $100 to $200. Total time, a Saturday morning. A new insulated 2-car garage door, professionally installed, $2,500 to $4,000. And the new door still needs good weather stripping to perform at its best. That is often sold separately. The garage door industry is not hiding the foam. That is not what is happening here. The panels are on the shelf at Home Depot, right next to the attic insulation and the pipe wrap. Owens Corning makes a kit. Insulfoam makes a kit. They are not secret products, but nobody in the chain between the manufacturer and your garage has a reason to point at them. The door company makes its money selling new doors. The installer makes his money on the labor. The home improvement store makes a better margin on a $2,500 door than a $60 kit. And the homeowner walks in asking about new garage doors because that is the only solution anyone has ever mentioned to them. The product is on the shelf. It has been on the shelf for years. Nobody profits from walking you past the showroom and into the insulation aisle. 1/3 of your home's front exterior is the garage door. For most American houses, it is the single largest surface facing the street. And behind it, on the inside, is over 100 square feet of bare steel that conducts heat like it was designed to. Your HVAC pushes against it all summer and all winter. The room above it is never the right temperature. And the fix, the same dead air pocket principle that makes your walls work, your attic work, your windows work, has been sitting in the insulation aisle for $30, waiting for someone to look down. If that is the kind of thing worth knowing, subscribe. There is more coming.